issues pertaining to the Goldbod, the Bank of Ghana, and the funded FX forward sale. I'm delighted that the IMF has brought this to the fore in its article for consultation, the recent one that they issued in August. And according to the IMF, it says that the domestic gold purchase program recorded losses to the tune of 1.7 billion US dollars. But if you would recall, the Bank of Ghana in their 2025 financial statement reported 214 million US dollars as the loss. This loss of 1.7 billion is equivalent to 22 billion Ghana cedis, and that is 1.5% of our GDP. And this same 22 billion Ghana cedis was the amount that was used to salvage the banks, the customers, the 1.2 million depositors who had lost their funds as a result of the banking issues. So clearly, you see the quantum of monies that are going waste. 22 billion Ghana cedis loss. And this same equivalent of 22 billion was used to save 1.2 million depositors. So that is why we are concerned. That is why we are talking about it, that just one entity, using 22.5 billion as a loss. The Minister of Health is complaining about the fact that he needs 6 billion Ghana cedis to recruit nurses. And here we are, 22 billion Ghana cedis going down the drain, when we could have used that amount of money to support the recruitment exercise at the Ministry of Health to enable the many nurses who are currently at home, to enable them to be employed. And for this one, it's going to be a win-win. The 22 billion, government is not going to recover. But if they had spent 6 billion out of the 22 billion, you would employ the nurses, unemployment rate will come down, and these same nurses will help you generate more revenue because they are going to pay income taxes. So this is where our concern is, and this is where we are coming from. 22 billion Ghana cedis going down the drain, when just a fraction of it could have been used to support the Ministry of Health to recruit the number of nurses they are talking about. Another issue is this. BOG recorded 214 million US dollars as the loss. IMF comes, IMF is privy to all the data and everything and says, no, the loss is not 214 million dollars as you recorded, but 1.7 billion dollars. I'm asking, the accounting firm that audited Bank of Ghana, I want to hear from them on this. Because, so how did they treat the difference of close to 1.4 billion? How was it treated? That it cannot be seen in their financial statement for BOG to declare that they only made a loss of 214 million Ghana cedis. And then the IMF comes and says, no, that loss on Goldbod is 1.7 billion. So I'm also calling out the accounting firm that audited Bank of Ghana. They should come clean. We want to hear from them. We need an explanation of how they treated the difference of 1.4 billion. That is very, very important because here their credibility is at stake. And when you look at what attributed to the losses, I find it a bit hard to believe, but clearly that is what happened. Let me state that IMF said that these are assay fees paid to the Goldbod. They pay fees and then we end up making a loss of 1.7 billion. These are discounts applied to gold sold to the off-takers. Even the small gold sellers around, they don't sell gold and make losses. Yet we give off-takers discounts. I don't understand. We are expecting Goldbod not to insult, elevate the conversation, give us explanation, because it's of concern to everybody. If you can make a loss of 22 billion, when 6 billion of that loss can be used to employ more than 10,000 nurses, clearly you have a case to tell the people of Ghana, respectfully. And as a result of this, we all know that the negative position of BOG increased from 58 billion to 93 billion. A huge gap, close to about 40 billion. And all government could do in the mid-year budget was to give them a paltry sum of 5 billion Ghana cedis. You ask yourself, you give Bank of Ghana that you have helped to make a loss of close to 40 billion, just 5 billion. And then 2 working days before the financial year ends, you give one entity, not an entity that takes care of our money, not an entity that cuts across. You give that entity 4.5 billion Ghana cedis. You ask yourself, all the ministries, departments, and agencies, ask them if the budget that was voted for them for Parliament for the year 2025, if they had 100% of their budget.